more about this one than I do, but
I
I'll try to
mean,
keep up.
yeah, I mean, so we can just briefly move through this. I just wanted to talk about more of a wider issue, but I'll give the deets first. So JP Morgan and Citibank or Citigroup both got nice little multi-$100 million fines here the other day. So
Chump change.
JP Morgan settled for nearly $1 billion to wrap up their criminal investigation into what's called spoofing, which is not some sort of Halloween or frat house prank or
Yeah,
euphemism.
please explain to me and all our viewers what that is.
Yeah, so
Our viewer.
imagine. So what spoofing is it's placing a large number of fake trades on one side of a price, and it was happening on their precious metals desk. So let's say it's happening with silver. Silver selling for $17 right now per ounce or whatever unit of measurement. You put the order in for you're going to sell 70 shares of silver or buy 70 shares, whatever it is, on for 17.20. So you have so much shares on that side, it moves the price of silver up. You then sell your silver for 17.10 that you already owned, 8 shares of it. And as soon as those execute, you then go and cancel your mass order, and you manipulated the price to be 10 cents higher in the end. I don't know if
So
that was
what I
very
hear you're
explained,
saying, just
but
from someone that, yeah, for someone that doesn't understand this stuff, really, they are manipulating the price at high quantities and pulling out their promises. It sounds like kind of what showed they intended to do to pull that price up or down or whatever way they want to do it, so that they can make money. And for anyone like us, like an individual, it would be, cents on the dollar, it'd be nothing. But for them, in such high quantities, because they have that capital to do so, they're making
well, that's the reason
apparently millions of dollars.
they had to settle this because that they had to settle to um, for nearly $1 billion because that's what the total addressable damage was allegedly of what how many there are people who get hurt on losing on that trade, even if it's not a Robin Hooder that's trading 2 shares of SLV or whatever the silver moniker is, but people that institutions that are trading large quantities in this, they do get hurt, and then people get fired. There's trickle down effect, and it does account to just pure price manipulation at its core. But we're not going to get wrapped up in the what they were doing, like the intricacies of what they were doing. But they were doing price manipulation on their metals desk for nearly a decade, and they had to settle for nearly $1 billion. Citigroup got fined $400 million for a lack of proper internal controls and not good enough risk systems in place. Best example of this is a city banker sent $175 million to the wrong place. I don't know about you and me. I think we get fired if
Uh,
that happened. And they're currently trying to sue to try to get that money back because the place they sent it, the client they sent it to, is saying, "Well, we don't have to give it back. You just gave us $175 million, and that's your fault." So
wow.
that didn't help in terms of getting this fine for $400 million. They also have had some illicit funds flow through the bank as well. But we're not, like I said, we're not here to get wrapped up in the intricacies of what their wrongdoings were. I just wanted to talk about how both of these banks are also on the forefront of doing good for society in terms of Citibank just announced that Jane Fraser is going to be taking over as CEO of the bank in February and will be the first woman CEO of a big bank. JP Morgan is currently pushing their clients to align with the Paris Accord and help reduce carbon emissions and work with their clients to cut their own carbon footprints. So that's why I wanted to call this segment a tale of two banks. I play on tale of
Sure.
two cities, is because you've got the wrongdoing happening at these massive financial institutions, and then you also have them using their size for good, and helping break the glass ceiling along with helping reduce carbon emissions. What do you
Right.
think about just that role that they play in society, this complicated role?
Absolutely. So before we touch on that, I think I have a question for you that you can answer really easily. because I know the answer to it too. Or at least I think I do. Is are these related? Their PR move or their moves to be zero carbon emissions and all this stuff, and having the first woman
I
CEO.
actually,
Is this related?
I actually don't have a good answer. I would say
I don't think it is.
the new CEO to Citi is related to, yes, that they haven't, the share price has not done well. Citigroup does not trade on a premium on the stock market. In fact, it trades at a discount. JPMorgan trades at a premium. They have Jamie Dimon running the show. Um, I think they're not. You're not seeing, these are too massive of moves to be doing just to whitewash some bad PR that you have.
Right.
The new CEO, I think, is coming in place is just because they're looking to make a change at the top, but that's just a coincidental kind of deal. JP Morgan, I think it's, you have such a massive bank that, with any gigantic organizations, there are going to be problems that the top is not going to be aware of. And you've got people that are going to go to jail probably for it, that undertook in it.
No, I think you touched on what I was going to answer too. Is just like, yeah, it's a function of having such a big company, and I don't think that they're related. I don't think that they are trying to make these moves just to cover up things, or to to shift attention away. I think these were legitimate things that they've been trying to do and implement, and a function of just the times of it making sense for them. You can see my dog here in the background
Yeah.
whining at the door. Um, anyway, yeah. So I think they were just naturally making the progressions. I think we kind of touched on it last week too, talking about the carbon emissions of companies doing good. Of I think we touched on Allbirds, of that being really popular right now, and them seeing an opportunity to really hop on board on that for a lot of companies to
Yep.
do this. And it's good PR, but it's also I think it makes your employees happier too, that you're being a part of something like that.
Yeah. They
And
know that
women
they're,
CEO, I don't think that has to do with anything. I think it's just that's the right person for the job. Hopefully, in this case, like you said, they're having some issues with their current one. So
yeah. I think you're right on that. It's good for employees to know that the bank is moving in the right direction. I've read a whole piece from the Financial Times about just women in banking were ecstatic to see that Jane Fraser
yeah,
had been promoted. You know, history is made by the people who show up, and her showing up and sticking with it as a mother and rising to the top of one of the most recognized banks across the entire globe, I think makes a profound statement. Um, and I look forward to the day where you know that it's not a big deal if a woman is named CEO of a major financial institution. So, and then moving on to more like recent news on these, both of these guys did report earnings this morning. Citi traded down on their earnings, despite both of them beating on expectations, which was good just from an overall standpoint of we're not in dire economic straits potentially. The rest of the banks still have to report. Um, and they did both say we need stimulus money. And both you and I agree on that. The small businesses and the for lack of better terms, small people need help right now. But yeah, Citigroup just needs to do more based to alleviating the concerns with their internal systems and their tech stack that got them the $400 million fine. And then also we saw, just here to wrap up news in the banking sector, we saw Morgan Stanley acquire Eaton Vance like days after their E-Trade acquisition just closed. So they gained about half, I think it's like $500 million more under assets under management. And so I think you're going to start seeing more mergers and acquisitions here in the banking and financial sector, especially in the companies that are making money off of investments and investment banking and trading, more so than the money center banks like we just talked about, JPMorgan, Citibank,
yep.
Bank of America, you name it.